my feet gets the best of me. I can't seem to understand how you do this to me. You know I was a casualty until you stopped my heart and you made me see I need love. I need love. You know I was a casualty until you stopped my heart and you made me see I need love. I need love.
With some kickoff pressure, Sonics looks to recreate that same success. AXB now off the backboard. Is he gonna find this? Oh my goodness! AXB waterfalls it straight down, and the space station.
Hello, welcome back to RO Talk. Today I'm going to be talking about RLCS Season 9 Week 2. I'm going to be reviewing it. I say it's just me today. Josh isn't too well, so he is saving himself for this weekend. Hopefully he should be back. But anyway, let's get right into North America. First match was Sonics versus Space Station, which was a 3-1 victory for the Sonics. I don't think anyone really predicted that they were going to win that. But when you were watching it, you could see that they really had Space Station figured out to a T. They knew how to block all of their passing plays and how to stop their offensive pressure and even put the pressure on themselves. Then game 2 was Ghost versus E United, and E United, after sweeping Cloud9, should have realistically carried momentum through to this series, but clearly they didn't, as they got swept by Ghost. Then Rogue versus Cloud9. Rogue won 3-2 after Konovi almost broke his back after how much he carried to Rogue in game 5. Which led to them beating Cloud9 in a 5-game series. Then NRG swept Flight. Not really much else to say about that. And then final series of the day, G2 beat Pittsburgh Knights 3-1. So it could have been a sweep if they had shots away in game 1. In game 1 they literally had about 1 million shots, but they didn't put any of them away. So if they put some of those shots away, then it could have been a sweep. But it wasn't. What does that do for the league table, you may be asking? Well, that leaves G2 top 2-0 at a +5 game differential, with NRG closely following 2-0 at a +4 game differential. Then Ghost and Susquehanna Sonics, both 1-1, so our first defeated teams, and at a +1 game differential. Then Space Station and United closely follow at 1-1, and at a 0 game differential, 5th and 6th. Then Pittsburgh Knights in 7th with a 1-1 record and a -1 game differential. Then Rogue follow them in 8th, 1-1 with a -2 game differential. And then our two teams yet to get a win, Flight and Cloud9, 0-2 as a -4 game differential. But that will change. They will get a win. One of them will have a win for next week, because they are playing each other. But let's not get into that, because this is not the preview, this is the review of the week 2 and not the preview of week 3. Anyway, over to Europe, our first match of the day was Barcelona versus Endpoint, in which Flakes used a gizmo, but still managed to get the overtime winner in game 1, which really kind of just set the tone for the rest of the series, with Barcelona sweeping them up in the end. Then Veloce played TSM, which they won 3-1. It was very unlucky, the first game at TSM won, although the goal was a bit unlucky. They still had most of the pressure in game 1, and Veloce then took the other 3 games, shutting them out in all 3 of them. So if they had not lost that first game, and game 2, 3 and 4 only counted, then they would have got a clean sweep on them, but they did not. So yeah, that's their fault. And yeah, on to the next series, which was, oh no, K-Dob. Oh dear. It was Team Singularity against Renault Vitality, which ended up in a 3-2 win to Team Singularity after taking it to Champions Field overtime in Game 5, where God Smiller got a flip reset pull shot on K-Dob to win them the series. Then the fourth series of the day was Dignitas giving things back to quote-unquote normality by beating one of the old RLCS teams in AS Monaco in 4 games. And then the Cats ate the Mouse in Reciprocity, beating Mouse 3-1, which begs the question, is Mouse the finished article, or is there still something going on behind the scenes which is not finished yet? We don't know, but what we do know is that Reciprocity and Dignitas are joint first in the table, 2-0 at a +4 game differential. Dignitas closely follow them at a +3 game differential. So that leaves Veloce and Renault Vitality 1-1 at a +1 game differential, 4th and 5th. Mouse comfortably 1-1 at a 0 game differential in 6th. Then Singularity 1-1 at a -1 game differential in 7th. TSM not looking too good at a -3 game differential, 0-2 in 8th. That is not a very good situation to find yourself in, but it's not as bad as Monaco's 0-2 at a -4 game differential. But even that is not nearly as bad as Endpoint, who find themselves 0-2 at a -5 game differential, having lost both series and only winning 1 game, which was in the Vitality series in week 1. Now, over to South America, which had some very weird circumstances in terms of the fixtures. Well, our first game was the 3 Sins versus 3-point shooters, which they won 3-1. Lotus then beat Most Wanted in a 5-game thriller after receiving a wake-up call, #KSI challenge. Just kidding. After losing their first game 6-3. But Most Wanted then bounced back, winning a series technically 3-1 because they were late to the series, which gave 3-point shooters a game by default, but they won all 3 of the games that were played anyway to make it 3-1. Then for game 4, one of the weird circumstances, Sapphire forfeited their match against the old low-key team, as well as the Lotus match, which gave both Lotus and the old low-key team a sweep in terms of game differential. And then for the final game of the day, Ints beat Aeon in a 5-game thriller where Aeon almost got the reverse sweep on Ints. And there are only 8 teams in South America, but I believe 4 of the teams played twice in the week. So it leaves the standings as follows. Lotus 2-0 at a +4 game differential in first, then the old low-key team 1-0 at a +3 game differential. 3 Sins third at a +2 game differential, 1-0. Ints fourth, 1-0 at a +1 game differential. Then Most Wanted 1-1 at a +1 game differential in 5th. Then Aeon 0-1 at a -1 game differential in 6th. 7th, 3-point Shooters 0-2 at a -4 game differential. And then Sapphire bringing up last 0-2 and at a -6 game differential. So really not good for Sapphire after they forfeited their first 2 series of the season. I don't know what will happen with them in week 3 and week 3 because they play twice. They don't actually play in week 2, and then they play twice in week 4. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. But yeah, I don't know if But until I see you again, hope you guys have a great time. Have a happy holidays. Josh will 99% be back. That I'm 99% sure that Josh will be back. But until then, until our next episode, enjoy your holidays and goodbye.
I think I need therapy when my feet against the fence.